Chapter 2. Logic takes care of itself. All we have to do is to look and see how it does it. Ludwig Wittgenstein. Mood and Syllogisms. Introduction. In the last chapter, we discussed the 4 ways a syllogism can be formed according to the disposition of terms. These 4 ways we call a syllogism's figure. In this chapter, we will talk about mood. We define figure as a disposition or location of terms in a syllogism. In other words, how the terms are arrayed in the syllogism. Mood is defined as follows. Mood is a disposition of the premises according to quantity and quality. For example, we say that a syllogism has a mood AA when the first or major premise is an A statement and the second or minor premise is also an A statement. Again, we say that a syllogism has a mood EA when the first premise is an E statement and the second premise is an A statement. Look at the following syllogism. All mortals must die. All men are mortal. Therefore, all men must die. In what mood is a syllogism? We see that the first premise is an A statement and the second is an A statement. Therefore, the mood of the syllogism is AA. Let's take another example. No men are immortal. All angels are immortal. Therefore, no angels are men. What mood is this syllogism in? We see that the first premise is an E statement. The second is an A statement. Therefore, the mood of the syllogism is EA. Since there are 4 different kinds of statements, A, E, I, and O, they can be combined into 16 different moods. 4 by 4 as follows. Be careful that your premises are in the proper place. Major premise first and minor premise second. If they are not in the proper order, you can easily misidentify the mood of a syllogism. Figure in mood. Furthermore, each of these 16 moods can be found in each of the 4 figures. In other words, a syllogism in the first figure can be in the mood AA, AE, AI, AO, EA, EO, etc. This means that there are a total of 64 different kinds of syllogisms according to mood and figure. 16 moods times 4 figures. But although there are 64 different kinds of syllogisms, not all of them are valid. In some cases, whole moods are invalid. For example, EE syllogisms, whether they are in the first, second, third, or fourth figure, are invalid. Why? Remember Rule 5 in Chapter 13 of Book 1? It said that no conclusion can follow from 2 negative premises. E is a negative statement, therefore a syllogism in which both premises are E statements cannot be valid. The same goes for syllogisms in mood OO, since O statements are also negative. In fact, if we constructed syllogisms in all 64 of the possible combinations and applied the 7 rules we learned in Book 1, we would find that only 19 of them are valid. William of Shireswood, a medieval philosopher, came up with names to help remember these syllogisms and put them into a mnemonic verse. You will need to memorize these lines in order to know how to do some logical operations in later chapters. The lines are as follows. Barbara, Celerent, Dari, Ferio, que prioris, Caesar, Camestres, Festino, Barocco, Secunde, Tertia, Darapti, Desarmis, Detasi, Philapton, Bocardo, Farisan, Habet. Corta in super adit, Bramantip, Camanes, Demaris, Fesapo, Fresison. Note that Ferio K is Latin for and ferio, and that the K attached on the end is not really a part of the word. Both the vowels and the consonants in these names represent important things about each syllogism. Let us content ourselves in this chapter to discuss what is indicated by the vowels. We label a syllogism Barbara if the first premise is an A statement. The first A in Barbara and the second premise is an A statement. The second A in Barbara, the last vowel stands for the conclusion, the last A in Barbara. Remember that the first vowel always indicates the first or major premise. The second always indicates the second or minor premise. And the final vowel always indicates the conclusion. What the above lines mean is that Barbara, Celarent, Dari, and Ferio are the four valid moods in the first figure. Prioris means of the first in Latin. Caesar, Camestres, Festino, and Barocco are the valid moods in the second figure. Secunde means of the second in Latin. Derapti, Desarmis, Datisi, Falaptan, Bocardo, and Ferison are the valid moods of the third figure. Tertia means third in Latin. And Bramantip, Camanes, Demaris, Fisapo, and Fresison are the valid moods in the fourth figure. Quarta means fourth in Latin. This makes 19 in all. Of these 19, however, only about 5 are commonly encountered in actual argument. We will be discussing all 19 of these arguments in later chapters. But for now, let's take a look at the 5 common valid syllogisms. How to use the mnemonic. The mnemonic Barbara, Celarent, Dari, etc. gives us a much quicker way to determine the validity of a syllogism than using the 7 rules for validity. When we are presented with an argument, we simply put it in the form of a syllogism and see if it is one of the syllogisms in the mnemonic. If it is, then it is valid. If it is not, then it is invalid. There are 3 steps involved. Step 1, determine the figure. Step 2, determine the mood. Step 3, determine whether the mood is included in the mnemonic verse. 5 common syllogisms. The following are the 5 most commonly encountered syllogisms. Barbara, Celarent, Caesar, Camestres, Camanes. An example of Barbara, which is sub pre or first figure, would be: all flowers are plants, all roses are flowers, therefore all roses are plants. An example of Celarent, first figure, would be: no flowers are trees, all roses are flowers, therefore no roses are trees. An example of Caesar, a second figure or pre syllogism, would be: no trees are flowers, all roses are flowers, therefore no roses are trees. An example of Camestres, second figure, would be: all roses are flowers, no trees are flowers, therefore no trees are roses. An example of Camenes, a fourth figure or pre-sub syllogism, would be: all roses are flowers, no flowers are trees, therefore no trees are roses. Note also that the final letter is important in determining the syllogism's validity, although it does not determine the mood. Summary. This chapter concerns the mood of syllogisms. The mood of a syllogism is defined as a disposition of the premises according to the quantity and quality. There are 16 moods per figure. Since there are 4 figures, that means there are 64 moods in all. Of these moods, only 19 are valid. William of Shireswood came up with the names to help remember the valid syllogisms in a mnemonic verse. The verse is as follows: Barbara, Celarent, Dari, Ferio, que prioris, Caesar, Camestres, Festino, Barocco, Secunde, Tertia, Derapti, Desarmis, Datisi, Falaptan, Bocardo, Ferison, Habet, Quarta in super adit, Bramantip, Camenes, Demaris, Fisapo, Fresison. The vowels in each of these names indicate the mood of the syllogism by indicating whether each proposition in the syllogism is an A, I, E, or O statement. Of the 19 valid syllogisms, only 5 are commonly encountered in actual argument. The 5 common syllogisms are as follows: Barbara, Celarent, Caesar, Camestres, Camenes.